Today we're looking at Diamine Aqua Lagoon. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Diamine's Aqua Lagoon is a teal or a turquoise kind of ink. But before we get to the writing samples, let's take a look at the sciencey bits. Up first is a chromatography, and I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. Now the one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down, I let it go up the page 10 to 15 seconds in the water, and what we see is initially this ink runs from the page. It runs straight up, and then we start to get that turquoise at the very top of it. It runs about halfway its distance up. The one on the right, I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into the page, and it looks exactly the same. There's no blending of colors to make this, which is very unusual to get certain colors. Resistance tests are done to see how it can be expected to hold up on paper, but more importantly, how difficult it can be to clean out of a pen. The smear is let dry for 3 days before I test it. Looking at the highlighter, I see it starting to reactivate and feather out quite a bit, which makes me not want to use this for note-taking situations. The water definitely it's got a whole section that it completely removed it off the page. So there is no resistance at all, cleans really easy. You wouldn't even have to get this to the pen flush stage. But looking at the pen flush, you do see some of the ink left behind. That's because I put a drop down, I let it sit for 30 seconds, so it's still sitting there. It just didn't remove it completely off the page, but the flush is sometimes harsh on the paper. Now bleach completely removes it from the page, which is what you would expect, but you will not need to use bleach to get this out of your pen. This is a bell curve or a normal distribution. For the 365 inks I've tested, I have found an average viscosity of 2.5. Now normal is the range from 2.1 to 2.9. Diamine Aqua Lagoon has a viscosity of 2.68. That puts it just a little on the heavier side of the normal range. Still well within normal. It is not anything to think about where it should be a problem for a pen. Where things can be a problem for a pen is when they get higher than 2.9. Some pens might not like them. Now this bell curve is for the average dry time. For the 365 inks I've tested, I have found an average dry time of 17 seconds. Normal dry time is anywhere from 13 to 21 seconds. Diamine's Aqua Lagoon has an average dry time of 15 seconds, well within the normal range. Yes, it's slightly faster than the average, but well within normal. So how do I find my average dry time? I average my writing samples done with the extra fine and medium nib on Clairefontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. So now let's take a look at the writing samples. I got this ink in sample form. To keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub. I use a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. Looking at Clairefontaine paper, we get no bleeding, we get no ghosting. In the 1.1, we have no feather, no spread, no echo, no sheen, no color variation. It's straightforward. It's turquoise. That just is. It's there. It's almost towards a teal, but those are very close as colors. Onto the extra fine. No feather, no spread, no echo, no sheen, no color variation. Straightforward. It's there. Nice color, zero color variation. 9 seconds to dry. On a medium nib, we get no feather, no spread, no echo, no sheen. We do get some color variation that's occurring with the medium. So this is good to use with a wetter pen. That's how it looks here. It's kind of nice. When we look at 14 seconds to dry. When we look at the extra fine, we see that in a scrubby we have no color variation. But in the medium, we definitely do get some of that color variation, which if this is the ink for you and you like shading, this is nice. On the smear, you might be able to recover that. That does not seem horrible. Looking at Tomoe River paper, we have no bleeding. We have ghosting because it's Tomoe. In a 1.1, we have no feather, no spread, no echo, no sheen. we have a little bit of haloing. That is a feature that is, I want to call it, harder to come by in inks, which is nice. It gets this really almost dark outline around some of the writing. So your stub nibs can give you some halo if that's what you want. I think that stub halo is really nice. We didn't see it in a Clairefontaine. I don't remember seeing it in a lot of the other writing samples. But on a Tomoe River, use a stub, get the halo. It's like somebody traced your letters with a tiny, tiny marker, making the outlines a little nicer. On the extra fine, we have no feather, no spread, no echo, no halo, no sheen, almost no color variation. We have 16 seconds to dry. With a medium nib, we have no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, some color variation, some shading. We see it in quick. So just like before, it shows up in a medium where it was not there on the extra fine. 22 seconds to dry though. On the scrubbies, we see some of the color variation of the extra fine. We definitely see the color variation of the medium. And the smear, they just never seem to last when it comes to Tomoe River. Looking at Rhodia paper, no bleeding, no ghosting. On a 1.1, no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. The halo is not here, not this time. Extra fine, no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade, straightforward. It's just there, it's a teal or turquoise. 11 seconds to dry. In the medium, it gets slightly darker than it was with the extra fine. No feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, some shading. So it's not a horrible shading ink with the medium. 15 seconds to dry. In a scrubby, we see less shade than we see in the actual writing. Although the writing doesn't have a lot, it does have some. The scrubby, we have none. The smear, you might be able to recover this as a smear. Now, because of the color and wanting to see how it performed with the yellow paper, I did the yellow rhodium. We have still no bleeding, no ghosting. In the 1.1, look at that color difference that occurs. Fantastic green. Really fantastic right there. Beautiful color. I don't know that this is the one for me, but it's a beautiful color. That yellow really helps bring it out. No feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. Nice color variation. Extra fine. Gives us no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. We lose the shading. It's not here. Not a whole lot. Only in really heavy spots like the K. That's where I'm going to get it. But I'm not seeing the shading here. 11 seconds to dry. In the medium, we have no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. Some shade. Not all the shade, but certain words let it jump out. Lazy has a lot. Lazy, it really shows up. In the G of dog, it shows up, but not a lot of other places. Because when we look at the scrubby, we see not a lot of shading that occurs in either the extra fine or medium scrubby. Now on a smear test, I think you might be able to recover this if you smeared while you were writing. I don't think it would stop you in your tracks. Then I went on to limon paper. On the limon paper, we have bleeding. We have ghosting. And I'm going to hit all of these at the same time because this limon paper did not perform well with this ink. This ink in its entirety here, all three nibs, feather and spread, have no shading, have no sheen, have no halo. This is a horrible paper ink combination. But I went and I wanted to see what happens on some of the G Lalo. It's like a gray paper. I was just curious how it looks. I like seeing how different color paper makes ink look entirely different. So that's what I did is I put it down here. And as a paper, we have no bleeding, no ghosting. It's a nice darker paper. In the 1.1, we have no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no color variation. Very easy to read, very light on the eyes. So while it doesn't do a lot for the colors, it is
pleasant to read. So for correspondence, this paper and ink, very nice. In the extra fine, we have no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. We do get some color variation in the K, in the B, in the X, in the Z. 4 seconds to dry, dries very fast. That correspondence, you can turn the page without too many problems. Looking onto the medium, it gets a little bit darker as a color than it was with extra fine. No feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. Color variation for sure. 8 seconds to dry. We look at the scrubby, we get almost no color variation in the medium, but we do get it in the extra fine. And on the smear test, if you smeared it, you would be able to read it. I wouldn't use this for note taking. If I smeared my letter like that, I would probably just rewrite the page or just X that whole part out. But you would be able to read it. You wouldn't lose it forever. So that's what I have for the writing samples.
Instead of finding inks that would look like Diamine's Aqua Lagoon, I would prefer to find an ink that will complement that teal color on the page. I have chosen Diamine Amber because of its yellow to orange color. It's like sunset on a pool. Before I give my opinion on this ink, I'm asking, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. And if it's your first time here, I would invite you to subscribe. To make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do my writing samples. I then put the ink into a different pen and use that for a day. Now, to take my notes, I then put the ink into a Lavender True Writer with a broad nib. So what do I think of Diamine's Aqua Lagoon? It's not my turquoise. There's nothing special about this as a color. It's just turquoise. I mean, I think it looks better in a stub nib than it does in your regular writing nibs. But there's nothing special on this color. It's just blah. Which, spoiler alert, would I buy a bottle of this ink? No, I wouldn't. And not because turquoise is not my color, because I do have some turquoise inks I like. This one is just dull to me. Thanks for watching.